Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful, who will all our sorrow share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. You know, I first started playing around with the idea of this message when I was preparing. You guys have probably gotten tired of me talking about Leon's. I did Leon's funeral Friday. And of any person that I've ever seen a heart changing, man, he was it. I saw that guy's heart change. And I was preparing this message to give because the family, for the first time in all my funeralisms, said, as I was talking to them, let me share you guys, let me share a little story here with you guys, okay, in case you didn't know. Because I know Leon's was a quiet guy. He didn't talk about his life. He may have voiced his problems, but he didn't talk about his backstory. Leon's was raised in a super Christian home. His mom, her career was pianist at the church. So he was at church every day. And in fact, I met some of their friends that have been childhood friends, and they were talking about how they would hide and exchange video games because they weren't allowed to have them at church, and church was their life. And he had such a huge heart for God. And when he was a senior in high school, he was on the road he was going to go to seminary. He wanted to be a pastor. He had a love for God. Now through that, there kept coming these times where, I'm going to say, the riches of the world kind of blind us, you know. Maybe it's a matter of, man, those guys have some really cool cars. And I sure would like some jewelry like that too. And you know, my biggest thing, let me share you guys with me. I spent my entire young adult life trying to be successful because I wanted that tag on my name if I was successful. And I can tell you just clear as day, I wasn't doing it for malicious reasons. I was doing it because I wanted to make something of myself. So I came to find out, Leon's was kind of similar. It wasn't that he was doing it out of greed. He wanted to make a name for himself. He wanted to be somebody. So he was successful with businesses. He had some cool cars. He had jewelry. He had everything. But every time he chased that, just like every time I've chased that, you take your eyes off of the focus of God. Because now my focus of success doesn't become how many people am I reaching and how much treasure am I storing up in heaven because I'm working for God. But how much more do I got in my bank account? And what else can I add to that car? And our focus changes. So, through it all, when I came to meet him here, he had gone from the pinnacle of his life to crash down. He wasn't a bad person. I want to really preface this. Him chasing after making a name for himself, he wasn't doing it out of negative intent. He wasn't doing it to screw anybody over, and he did it honestly. He was a very successful business person. And yet, every story I heard about him was always, he was doing this, and he was super good at it. But then he came to this point where God called him back. Throughout his whole life, God kept calling him back, kept calling him back, kept calling him back. And as we were talking about everything, and just the change I saw in his life here in this room. Because when I first met him, a lot of people up here warned me about how mean he was, and he will bite your head off. And I had this immediate realization that he had done that thing that we so often do, where we hold on to every problem and we get super duper mad. So as I was talking to the family and I was preparing, as I said, it's the first time I've ever had a family go, look, you saw God reach Leon's in a way that nobody else was able to. I talked to his mom, I talked to his siblings, and they actually said, this is no joke at all, guys. He was telling them about our church service and what we talked about and what we sang. this was impacting someone more than we ever realized. And I'm sure there's lives in here. It's the same thing. I know he wasn't the only one, but it was impacting him. So they said, we want you to preach salvation. To actually give a message about salvation. Because there's a lot of lives that are hurting and missing him. And they're in the same spot that he was. Maybe not medically, but they are chasing everything under the sun, looking for fulfillment. And so I did. I preached, and you know what I did? I gave a synopsis of the last 3 messages Leon's ever heard. I talked about his life, and then I said, remind me of someone named Manasseh. You guys remember me giving that message on Manasseh? Well, Manasseh was Hezekiah's son, and Hezekiah was a godly man. Manasseh looked around the world and was like, man, that over there looks pretty cool. I'm going to go do that. You guys remember the message because I was like, well, I didn't die. I can do it again. I didn't die that time either. Let's do it again. And it snowballs. And your focus turns away from God. But all the while, God was right there for Hezekiah. And as soon as Hezekiah repented and went back to God, he was right there. And then I said, the last message that Leon's ever heard, Matthew 11:28. Come unto me, all you who are labored and heavy laden, and I will give you rest to your souls. Leon's was a person, and I'm sure there's others in here that have done this, but I saw it. That he was able to actually give God his burdens and not hold the weight of the world on himself anymore. So, as I was preparing that, this song, now I just want to sing the first part again, because Dawn was singing so pretty with me, and I can count on her to sing it out. Because this song, to me, was such a sweet reminder that Leon's realized, even though it was towards the end, that we have a friend in Jesus. So I'm going to sing that first part out again. Pay attention to the words. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sin and grief to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. What a peace we often forfeit. What a needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Now, perhaps today is the day that someone in here needed that reminder that you don't have to hold the weight of the world on your own. Because we have a God that will take that and exchange it with peace that surpasses all understanding. You know how powerful that is in Philippians? Peace that surpasses all understanding? That's the kind of peace where we go, well, ain't nothing going to fix this. But that's a peace that surpasses that. That's the peace to go, well, the whole world is crashing around me, but I'm okay because I got God. Just like we sang with that third verse in Amazing Grace, I look back and I see all the trials and everything I've been through, but grace has always carried me through, and grace will carry me further. So, don't feel like you have to hold the weight of the world on yourself, because we have a God that loves us so much, and it's all found in Jesus, on what Jesus did for us. So today is the day to cast that to God and go, all right, God, make me new. Wash me white as snow, because it's go time. My success is no longer going to be found in the things, the riches of the world, and the cars, and the jewelry, and anything else. My success is going to be found in God. Because I would like to be able to stand at the end, just like Paul, and say, hey, I ran the race. I finished. There's a treasure in heaven from everything, because I kept my focus on God. You look at Paul's life, he spent most of his latter years in prison. He didn't have anything. But it didn't matter to him, because he was building up some treasure. So,